This is really about these people here today. So to get things started, I'd love for all of the women on the panel here, just tell us who you are, maybe how you got involved in motorsport, and a little bit about your passion for motorsport or cars or whatever it might be. Lucy, we'll start with you. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lucy Block, and I got involved in motorsport because of my husband, I guess. In between having children, I've raced quite a few rallies, and I enjoy trying to go fast in a car.
Hi, I'm Leah Block. I got into motorsports because of my mom and also my dad.
Two of them.
Yeah, two of them. So I've been involved in motorsports since I was born, and I've always just had a passion for it and doing all I can and with the opportunities I get.
Good job. Hi, I'm Rhiannon Jolsemino. Just call me Ree. That's easier. I've been in motorsport my entire life too. My dad was into speedway and rally, and then my two brothers are both rally drivers, and they convinced me to be a co-driver. So that was a good thing because now I'm a professional co-driver, thanks to my brothers and dad. I currently co-drive for Subaru and Travis Pastrana. And yeah, I love motorsport. I also have a training business, Oz Rally Pro, so you can come train with me if you're interested in that. And yeah, I've seen this little one grow up throughout the years, so it's exciting to be sitting here with her. And I hope you'll have a great time, ask questions, and enjoy yourselves.
I'm Sarah Price. I race professional off-road racing, so like anything from trophy trucks to side-by-sides. I started off in motocross at the age of 8. My dad also raced off-road cars, and my brother started in motocross, so just climbed the ranks, and now racing for Chip Ganassi Racing and Extreme E. And yeah, I met a most amazing older woman in here. Her name is Mary, and she's 73 racing, and I told her that is what I say in all my interviews. I'm going to be racing anything until I'm at least 80. And she said, why are you going to cut it off at 80? I said, you know what, you're right. So there she is right there. So she's in her I just want to be like her.
Yeah. I'm Jan Tabor. I got involved in motorsports. My family was not involved with my husband when in high school we used to put on TSD rallies. Then we moved back to Oregon and volunteered, worked some rallies, bought a rally car. I was service crew for many years and had to ride with her because nobody else would. No, that's not true. We have been in the car together for 21 years.
Yeah. Wow. My name's Kristen Tabor. I got into motorsports. I started out working with the rest of the family, as Mom said. I was a co-driver for my brothers and dad for a couple of years, but I get car sick, and so now I drive. It's much more fun when you're driving. But yes, as Mom and I have been together for 21 years now. We've raced every single year, as many rallies as we can get to in our local area. I love rally. I love all the people I get to meet in rally, and I love introducing new people to the sport. So awesome! I'm really excited to be here.
I'm Karen Jankowski. I went to my first rally in 2003, Rim of the World. I didn't know anybody that raced anything. I didn't know anything about rally. I just went with a friend and was kind of addicted from that point forward. I was so surprised at like how many women were driving and co-driving and competing and crewing and all of that, and people were just like a family. So I was like, okay, I want to get in, be a part of this. So I started racing in 2006 and kind of been doing it ever since. So driving, co-driving. I own a 2-car team that does road racing and rally. I organize Oregon Trail Rally, which is coming up in May, which is a lot of work and a lot of fun. So please come and volunteer if you're around. And so I really enjoy it, and I'm glad to be here and looking forward to meeting everybody.
Hi, I'm Donna Parada Kitch, and I am passionate about cars and passionate about racing. When I was 5 years old, I was playing in the car, our family car with my dad, and he left for a few minutes and he said, "Don't touch this." That was the exact thing I touched, and the car at 5 years old rolled down the hill and into the alley, and of course I was like, ooh, that was really cool. And then I ran away, and And my dad found the car, and instead of disciplining me, he said, "You like cars?" I said, "I love cars." So that was the relationship with my dad and I, learning about cars, having me learn how to change a tire, have me learn about safety. And then from there, that made me have a car detail store in high school, cleaning and detailing everyone's cars. And then when I graduated from college, I signed up for my first driving school. It was actually a race school at IRDC, and I was 22 years old, and I showed up, and there was a room full of people, none of whom looked like any of us. They were mostly men in 1988, and I thought maybe I was at the wrong place, but the minute I got in the car, I knew I was at the right place. We also, my husband and I also co-founded Performance Racing School. That was 28 years ago.
I am Chrissy Wells, and I born and raised around classic cars, motorcycles, and race cars all my life. I started racing go-karts when I was 12 and singing the national anthem around local racetracks around the Pacific Northwest. Currently, because I am so passionate about women in motorsports and just getting women behind the wheel of anything that brings them joy, I am a part of an awesome car club called Avance, and through that get to build programs and events and really cool experiences for women to do that. So thanks for having me here.
And then we need to get Emma.
It's so weird. I was just enjoying listening to all of your stories. So, hi, I'm Emma Gilmore. I'm dialing in from New Zealand. And my background in motorsport, I've been rallying now about 20 years. I started as a co-driver after giving up on my dream of being an Olympic equestrian horse rider. I've going from the co-driving seat to the driver's seat. I just, once I had a taste of driving a car fast on gravel roads, I was truly hooked. So it's the most amazing buzz, and I love that there's so many successful women in all areas of motorsport, and that we're here celebrating them today. I've been lucky enough to rally with Rhiannon. We did the Asia Pacific Championship in 2009, and now I compete against Sarah in the Extreme E Series as I race with McLaren, becoming their first ever female driver this year. So thanks for having me.
Well, at this point, we just want to open up the floor to any questions any of you might have for this lovely panel here. And ladies, if a question especially speaks to you, just go ahead and pop right in. We don't expect everyone to answer every single question that's asked. But if you have something you want to contribute, please do so. So it's up to you guys, you guys and gals. Go, shoot, ask away. Don't be shy. Everyone's really nice.
I promise.
We're very nice people.
We're nice people.
We all like to talk. We all like to talk about rally.
We get in the car.
Well, maybe to start us off, we can poke you guys with one. So Michelle came up with a bunch of really good questions as we were preparing for this event. And one thing I forgot I was supposed to mention, we've got a whole bunch of people that are logged in online that are watching internationally, which is wonderful. Just so they know, we do have in-person people here too, but you can ask us questions through the chat. That's just weird 2022 thing that we have to talk about. But maybe we can start with this question, like when was the moment when you realized, like, I got this, I can do this, you know?
Well, that's a loaded question.
That's a loaded answer.
My answer is it's momentary. There are moments when I think, oh yeah, no, I totally got this. And there are moments when it's like, oh God. Nope, sure don't. On the same stage? Yes. Yeah, exactly. There are times when everything's going great and it's when everything is clicking together and you're in sync with your co-driver and the car feels good. Yeah, there are times when I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. Then that only lasts to the next corner.
Do you have any tips for holding on to that?
Focus. Focus on the moment. Stay in the moment. You know, you can't worry about, oh, there's this tree down the way that is right on the edge of the road and it's coming up. You can't focus on that, right? You have to focus on the now. And you have to use that focus on the moment to keep the momentum going, I think.
do you do like meditation and stuff like that on the side to help?
Well, I pray.
Thanks, Mom. Confidence.
Just get us through this stage.
I mean, visualization works. You know, you just kind of try to feel, I don't know, it's a lot of visualization and just pep talk to yourself and just, you know, you got this, you've done this, you know how to do this. You know, it's a lot of talking to myself. Sometimes my inner monologue is outer monologue, and
I don't listen.
You mentioned internal.
Yeah.
I think that people can tell you, like I watch my husband coach a lot of drivers, and they could be winning a lot of races or they could be on a lot of poles, but it has to be an inner belief. They have to believe it. And so they have to have the experience. And so people can tell you you're great or you're fast or you're doing great, but you personally have to know that inside. So it is a lot of self-talk because you have to be positive, because there's this little voice in your head that you're doubting yourself. It's like, you know, people are calling you a professional race car driver or very established at your career, and you may not feel that. So you have to build that inner belief system of saying, I've got this.
Yeah.
Knowing you've got this because you've paid your dues and you have success. And so when you start to doubt yourself, you have to go back to those situations and say, I've got this.
Yes.
And I think for me in my job, I just do the preparation to like 110%. So I don't allow doubt to slip into my mind. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but in my job when I'm doing over 120 miles per hour down a stage, I can't have anything else pop into my mind but pure clarity in my job and my role. So the preparation I do before a rally, when we're talking about meditation or visualization, you know, watching onboards and things like that, where I practice what I'm going to be doing in the stage, is something that allows me to not have doubt or things like that which can creep in, because in my role at the speed that I'm going, calling Travis the notes, I can't let that be part of what happens. Otherwise I can't do my job. I can cause a serious accident and we can both be hurt. So I can't allow that to creep in, and how I've done that is by working really hard with preparation and planning and things like that, so that then every time I get in that race car, I know that I have 100% belief in the job I'm doing. So I think it depends on your different roles. In my role as a professional co-driver, I just need to be 110% focused on calling those notes. So
I look back to like my first dirt bike race, and I just always told myself like, no, I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
Or if not, I'm gonna figure out how to. I just was like, I'm gonna do this, you know. And even today, even when I'm having bad days, you have good and bad days no matter what. And I never don't believe in myself. It's just kind of like, well, crap, I'm having a bad day. I'm gonna figure this out, because I just won't let myself not do well. You know, it's kind of just in my DNA and who I am, I guess. But everyone just has to kind of figure out who you are, what works for you, and you can utilize so many things. You know, if it's I visualize before every race to just have that extra confidence, and obviously you put all the work in you possibly can, like Rhiannon, and you just have that extra confidence too, and it will show. So preparation is everything, but I think also too, just knowing like I can do this and I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. Yes, I'm out here and I'm going to do it, and I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
I remember having a breakthrough at a very young age, to Josie's question, knowing that I've got this. I just remember being on the straightaway. I was going to make my very first pass ever. And I knew, and talking to yourself, that's a real thing in your helmet.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Back then we didn't have, you know, the speaker system and all that stuff
Yes.
set up, right? So technology wasn't quite there, but I remember talking to myself and was like, Chris, you got this, do it, go, go, go. And I believe that from that day, that's been, you know, with me and has, you know, just made me think like, no, I've got it, it's fine.
I can
I'm
do
behind
this.
you, you know?
That first pass, you get that first pass
Get that first
Oh,
pass.
under your
You're
belt,
good to
it's
go.
like, okay, all right, that
All right.
works.
Yeah,
There's no feelings on the track.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, yeah,
Not at all.
No, we're not at all.
Yeah. There's no first pass.
Well, I don't know what kind of race racing you're doing, but
There's no yeehaw over the jump or woohoo for that water splash.
Like you're making a pass, like I'm gonna pass you.
Oh no, there is. Yeah, there is a. I'm gonna pass you.
Yeah, and then after that you're like, wow, that was really cool. Like I'm ahead of them now. I'm gonna pass the next person.
Now I gotta go fast and stay ahead of them so they don't
Yeah,
pass me.
it's such a rush, you just have to keep doing it.
Yes.
So from
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
it's like, well, see ya.
Exactly. Bye.
Sounds like we have a question from the interwebs.
From the interwebs, Carrie S., and this is specifically to Emma. She actually wants to know what your transition from horses to cars was all about, what the catalyst was.
Yeah, good question. I loved horse riding. It was my absolute passion, and I got quite good at it. I did eventing, like three-day eventing, and so the cross country and the show jumping and stuff. And as I was getting older, it was kind of like the horses hadn't quite read the game plan of what I had intended, how we were going to go. And I was working with this young horse this day, and he didn't want to do something, and he started rearing up, and I got off because I was scared. And as I was then thinking about how I was going to win this argument for the horse to get it to do what I wanted to do, and blah 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 blah, and I just had this moment where I was like, actually, I'm out. That's it. I'm not going to do it anymore. And it was a building thing because I had friends that had had quite a few bad accidents, so head injuries and body injuries, and I guess I was probably recognising that my enjoyment wasn't in it versus the risk involved. And so although it was a split-second decision, it sort of it set the path, and it was quite liberating because horse riding had been my life, and all of a sudden I could do other things. So I was doing the navigating for my sister and my cousin who were already rallying, and then when I finally had to go at driving, it was amazing because to me it was the same buzz I used to get with cross-country riding as I got with driving a car. And I often say to people that there's a lot of crossovers with equestrian to driving, and with driving, the only touch points you have with your car are your hands and feet and your seat, and so you feel what the car's doing through your seat, which is how you felt with the horse. And probably the mindset is another really big thing, is that cross-country riding, if you came into a fence and a solid obstacle and the striding was all wrong, there was no abort button, you've just got to go for it. And it's very much the same in rallying, like you come into a corner and you're like, you've got the wrong speed, or you've missed the gear, or the corner's not where you thought it was. You've just got to go for it, and you've got to have that forward-thinking mindset. And it was like what one of the other ladies said earlier, that corner's gone, like just focus forward. So it's really interesting though, because I still dream about horses, and I'll be running late for a stage in my dreams. Running to the time control, and there's my horse waiting for me.
I have a follow-up question, Emma. You said that part of the reason you stopped riding was because you were scared. But we're going through the woods at 100 miles an hour. So it can also be seen as scary. So, how do you deal with that fear? Or do you even have it? I guess is the real question.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and it's one you get often asked because it's seen as being so dangerous, rallying. But for me, I see it as a very calculated risk. The cars are very safe, which we drive in. You have your full harness and roll cages and helmets, versus horses, which are half a ton of a thing with a mind of its own that can all of a sudden decide it wants to jump on you or fall on you. So. I don't know if I've ever felt fear with racing. I mean, as we all know, in rally stages, there are definitely sections of road where you think, gosh, I really don't want to have it off here, and I guess you accommodate your pace notes, with that kind of in mind. But I feel it's a very safe, calculated sport. Versus, I'm a big believer in road safety after being involved with rallying, because if you're sitting on the start line and someone said to you, like, okay, so you start and If you just keep to the left, which is here in New Zealand, keeping on the right, you know, and someone coming the other way, they're going to keep to the left as well, and you guys will pass, but you'll be fine. You know, just keep to your side of the road. You wouldn't do it, but that's what we do every day. You know, sharing the road with other road users that, you know, might not have slept well, might be on drugs, who knows? So yeah, it's interesting.
Ready? Yeah. Sorry about that. We have a couple of online questions, and then also if you guys have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and we'll try and get around the room as well. Alicia is asking specifically about rally. Any advice on how to get into the sport due to some of the financial costs that come about running rally?
I think it's a very common question we get asked. I think it's almost daily right now. You know, I think compared to other forms of racing, the barrier to entry is a little less because there's so many things that you can take part in and help. You know, so you can either volunteer at an event and then you learn all about the sport and you get to meet all the teams, or you can help out a team and then, you know, you kind of build those relationships. And then as you have two other choices, you can either drive or co-drive, you know, so co-driving, as long as you don't get car sick, you know, and a few of those types of things, it's not too hard to learn to do it, and it's fun, you know, or you can just save up, you know, and buy a rally car, come to DirtFish or any other, you know, rally school. So there's a lot of opportunities to get into the sport. I don't think it's too difficult compared to a lot of other types of racing. And rally for sure feels more family focused. I didn't realize how much it was until I started racing in other types of motorsports and other series. It's just different. You know, it's hard to put, well, we're different, but let's be honest. You know, but that sideways, you know, even when I do road racing, and, you know, I'm like, I miss that, you know, just racing on loose conditions, loose roads, trees, and all the other things, unexpected, but then racing with other cars is also very unexpected. So, but I would say it's pretty easy, and just, you know, meeting folks like us or people in the audience, I see a lot of rally people too, is just, you know, get in touch with somebody, you know, any of us.
Yeah.
And we're all very happy to mentor and to help, you know, answer any questions you have or help you get into the sport as well.
I think the easiest way to get into the sport on the local level, as Karen says, volunteer. Volunteer for your local events. We started out volunteering, we were working time controls. There were enough of us in the family that we were a stage worth of time controls, which the organizers really liked. But you get to learn exactly what the time card looks like, exactly how the timing works, how the flow of the event is, which is some of the very big unknowns that you don't know until you're at an event competing.
Yeah.
So starting off as volunteering, you know, road guard position, great, because you get to park on the side of the road blocking another incoming road and watch everything go by at, you know, Mach 1. Wow. You know, it is just, it's an amazing experience to get in on the ground level of some of these local events and, you know, come to the Park Expose and come to the service areas, talk with the drivers and co-drivers. We all like talking to people, like a lot. Bring your kids. I love getting kids getting in my car. I love putting little kids in my car. It's the best thing in the world. Oh, bring your dogs. I love petting dogs.
And you mentioned, you know, volunteering. It might not be driving. It might be something else that leads to something else that leads to something else.
Exactly.
So at any given, you know, rally race or car race, I mean, we're always looking for volunteers. And I know we have a road course, and if you're out on any of the turns and you're out there volunteering and learning about the flags, and you sit there all day and you watch one specific corner, I'm guaranteeing you the next time you drive that corner, you're going to be so good because you've seen people do it correctly and you've seen people not do it correctly.
Yes, true.
And so you really do learn a lot. And, you know, you may become a co-driver, you may become, you know, a timing official, but you definitely, if it's something you like, they will find something for you to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd also say, start out maybe with rallycross. That gets you comfortable in the car. A lot of times, you know, new people coming in are not comfortable getting in a car and going Mach 1. Well, you won't go Mach 1, but
well, not for very long.
No, not for very long. But But you know, you kind of get the experience of sliding a car out. You can go slow. It's not a big deal because you're out there and they're waiting. People are waiting for you. There's not a car coming up behind you. And a lot of rally people do rally cross as well. So we kind of cross over, and you can kind of meet people and kind of integrate yourself in, and then move on from there.
Or go to somewhere like DirtFish.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's fair to say that.
I was going to say, I had my first experience in a rally car this last Friday, and I can't stop thinking about it. I'm literally laying in bed at night and falling asleep to myself going, left, turn, right, left, turn, accelerate.
Good job, Michelle.
I cannot wait to do it again.
What was one of those steps again?
Right. And or accelerate, whatever you decide to do. Yeah. So there you go. Come to DirtFish Rally School.
And also, my husband and I train people from beginners to advanced. So like May 7th and 8th, I think it is, we've got a co-driver school, which is 2 days, and you learn everything from the beginning to getting in a rally car calling pace notes. So to me, that's one of the best courses we have on offer at the moment, because if someone's not sure, there's a few people in here that actually trained with us on Saturday, Sunday. There was 12 people in that class, 3 had rallied before, 9 hadn't. And, you know, they went from no idea at all, novice, to calling pace notes in a rally car. So that's a good way to come here to DirtFish, train with Alex and I, who are both professional co-drivers. This is what we do. It's our life and it's our job. And we just love to introduce more people to the sport. You may leave there and say, I'm not ever doing that. Or you may leave and go, hey, cool, I want to be a co-driver. And then guess what? Because you know us, when someone contacts us and says, I need a person for Oregon, for Karen's rally, I can say, okay, well, I've got these novices, they're keen to learn and things like that. So not only do you learn the skills, you've then got us who will help put you in rides. So if that's something you're thinking about, that's always an option as well. Leah's done it. She did our pace note training. And get this, you tell them what you did.
I did it the day after I got my learner's permit.
Alex and I are driving around with a learner driver the day after, and we get to the stop and Alex is like, oh, I just remembered she's just got her permit. Leah, you need to use your indicator. And we get back to Ken and they're like, Ken, you sent us out to do driver training? It's like, no, she's done this before. Anyway.
You want to take one from? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, hi. All right. Hi, my name is Greg Vijaya. And first of all, happy Women's Month to all of you. Amazing women here, including in the room, and to Emma and online. So I have 2 questions actually. First question is to Sarah. What do you think about the electrics or rally cars, Extreme E, compared to the regular rally car? And is that the accelerations, because no engine sound, right? But it's fast.
Yeah, definitely. So it's go ahead.
Okay. Oh, sorry. The second question is, I think you all had been in the big crash, of course, in the rally dangerous motorsport. And what do you think? You know, when you had a crash and then just like a bad day, and then let's do it again tomorrow, or okay, so this is bad. I have to be careful. Yes, thank you.
Sarah, go first.
Maybe Sarah first. Thank you.
Yeah, no, the electric cars, it is quite a bit different. A little bit different than you would think out of just, you know, first-hand thought. But you don't have the engine, obviously, to go off throttle or anything like that. So you really have to be in tune with your foot, which is something you probably never would think about. And then the noises that you hear, all the noises that you never get to hear when you're in an engine vehicle, but they're very loud. So you're still hearing all the debris, everything hitting the vehicle. So that's pretty interesting. They are fast, but a lot of it is software tuning behind the scenes. And so like in the Extreme E vehicles, we have a certain number we get to be at power-wise that day. It depends on the track or whatever, so they can detune our cars. And then it's also a bias thing from the motor in the front to the motor in the rear, because it's all-wheel drive vehicle, one controls front, one controls the rear, on how you're going to set that up with your engineers. So it all is give and take. It's not like hopping in a Tesla and giving it full throttle and it gets to go, like, it's all calculated and it's too specific to what we're trying to race in it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And crashes, I'm probably not the best one to ask.
Same.
I think I've probably had, I don't know, has anyone else had their legs broken in 9 places?
No, but it's not a contest.
Everyone's like, you see what Travis Pastrana? I'm like, yeah, I'm probably as crazy as him. So, yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things. I've had my legs broken in 9 places. I've been burnt. I've had some pretty serious things happen to me. But when you have a passion and love for something, it's never going to stop you. I was actually a PE teacher at the time. I have a serious crash in the Australian Rally Championship, and I can't work for 16 weeks. I'm in a wheelchair. I have to learn to walk again. I go into school and see the kids in the wheelchair, and at that point in time, my school is like, we don't know if we can keep giving you this time off work. And so I had to make a decision. Do I continue being a PE teacher, or do I take up racing full time? And it was such a weird turning point in my life, because you have this serious accident, and you think it would actually steer you away from, I think my mum was hoping that it steered me away from it. And so, yeah, and I actually, at that point in time, that's when I decided I was going to take up racing full time. So I was like, if I still love it that much after what I've been through, this is what I need to do in my life. So it's one of those things that I think some people have a bad crash and they'll never race again. And then other people, it's, that's their passion, their desire, their love. So they recover from that incident and they're back racing a few weeks later, So it's just one of those things. In our sport, all of us have had crashes, and I'm sure all of us have been injured in some way, and it's just one of those things that we deal with, and then I think you only become better because you learn from your mistake. Why did that happen? What can we do better to make that not happen? And you only improve from what happened in those scenarios. I don't know what you girls think, but
Well, our first event, we rolled.
We rolled.
First event rolled. And we threw the car off the road into a ravine a bit. It was bad timing because my brother Mark was supposed to take the car to do the national championship after that event.
And he did.
And he did after we got it fixed. Pulled up out of the ravine. But, I mean, we upside down in a ravine is not fun. But we got out, we were a little bit doubting ourselves then, first event you crash. That's not great, but I mean, I remember going up with Tamara Shabel in her truck with her trailer, because we didn't have a second trailer. Yes, this was the second car we broke that weekend. Hi, Mark. But I remember driving up with her, and she was telling me, you got to get back in the car again. You can't let this be your defining moment here. You got to get back. You got to get back on that horse. You got to, prove to yourself that you can do it. And so, we crashed this last year, our second roll in 20 years. So we're going to keep that record going, I hope. Third one in another 20 years.
So,
but it's still, you got to get back in.
Right.
That's.
So the next year, we did that same stage again. It was a turnaround stage. And as we finished that, we actually cried because we finished it. But the main thing was that we were one of the last cars on the road, and everybody who was waiting for us to come was clapping as we went through. And that was a moment that really, we said, okay, we'll do this.
This is good.
This is good.
This is good. I mean, having the support of the rally community, the other competitors, the workers, the sweep crews, I mean, having that support behind you really helps when everything goes really sideways in a really bad way. Having that support really helps. And this community is so amazing that you have that support. Doesn't matter who you are.
But I think it's tough, like you said, though, the self-doubt part, because
Absolutely.
as a co-driver for many years, I've been involved in many crashes, and the worst one I was involved in, I think one of the reasons I didn't have a hesitation continuing is because I had another race with another team the next weekend. So, you didn't have time to think about it. But I will say, when I had my first crash in road racing, that was a different feeling. That was just a whole different vibe, because I'm learning all new, and I'm not used to starting from scratch. It's been a while, and so, at Portland International Raceway, I put it into a tire wall. I tried to drive the snot out of it. I was trying to drive, but you can't turn in the grass. So, fun fact.
I know.
It doesn't work very well. you know, we're doing endurance racing and there's 3 other drivers and they're all, oh, thank God that I didn't crash. That's what every single one said, because as the owner, I was like, well, yeah, I got to pay for it, but
It's my car.
you know, it's my car. But they were happy it wasn't them. But you know, and then when we went back to that track again, you know, there's just this feeling like, you know, oh crap, is that going to happen again? Like,
it's
but kind of like Sarah was saying, like, you know, you just go, hey, it is what it is. I'm just gonna kick ass. Like, I'm not gonna think about it. I'm not gonna dwell on it, and I'm gonna try to watch the in car because I've got that Garmin, which is pretty badass.
Yes, it is.
It really is. And I can actually look through and see what I did wrong. What do I need to do different? So I think it's not getting fixated on that it happened. It's fixated on, like, how do I learn from it and how do I keep it from happening again? And that's tough. I'm not gonna lie.
You know, you mentioned the road course, and I have not crashed, but I have gone off the course. And the difference of the road course is it's faster, and it's scary because you know you've lost control. And my first 3, this is not a very good statistic, but my first 3 times at Pacific Raceways, I went off on the same turn 2. My nemesis.
Oh, turn
2. And so, of course, when my husband got in the car with me 25 years ago, I just said, you know, I'm really bad at turn 2. You know, everywhere else I've got figured out. And he just said, stop. Let's just go through turn 2 15, 20 times, and I'm just going to coach you through them. And I was amazed at when I focused on doing it right, and I practiced doing it right, then I got a new program. So instead of saying, I'm terrible at turn 2. And so then he also taught me, which was kind of interesting, is I was going in very early because it's a very intimidating turn for me. And he just said, later, later, later. And so going down the straightaway, I would just use that as my mantra, later. And just saying that made me later, and I was a little better. And then I did it myself, and then I did it again, and I did it again. And I think you have to say, you know, you have to have that practice, and then you have to have that self-talk. And then if you want it bad enough, you're just going to keep practicing it. But it is intimidating. But when you get it right, then you can kind of apply that to life. You know, you can take, this is really hard. I'm terrible at it. Or wait, let me just break it down and get a program.
And one of my mentors had said, because I was kind of dealing with that self-doubt, they said, remember to breathe. And I remember my first rally driving, a friend of mine said, look, just put on a Post-it, you know, right in front of you, just one thing you want to work on, just one thing, don't forget. So I wrote breathe. And I have to say, like, you come down a straightaway, and that Oregon's really fast anyway, and we're over 100, and I'm like, I know what that corner is, and I'm starting to tense up, and it's funny, when you say breathe, all of a sudden everything just kind of relaxes. And so that's a big one for me, is you asked about meditation, you know, I do that as well, but just remembering it, you know, in the moment, just
inhale,
breathe.
It's
like
basic.
Stop holding your breath.
She wants it in her pace notes. Every time there's a 200 or longer, she wants me to say the word breathe.
Paul Eklund used to have blink in his
Blink.
in the middle of Noatsa.
Oh, that's good.
Because he was wearing contacts at the time, and his eyes would dry out. He didn't blink enough. So he'd tell his co-driver to remind me to blink in the middle of Noatsa. So, which is good. I mean, because we use that sometimes. It's like, remind me to breathe. You know, remind me that we're halfway through the the long stages. You know, breathe, blink.
Well,
Your
I
eyes
think this
dry.
might be a good segue too. Margaret wants to know, what is driving on the dirt? Why is it different than driving on, like, Laguna Seca's track? So you guys have different experiences with that.
Leah, that's great.
You've done drags. You've done everything. You've done it all.
Yeah, I started in off-road short course series and the Lucas Oil series, and then I went to karting. So they're 2 way different animals, you know, and I love them both, like, but very differently. Like, dirt is just, you feel so out of control, which is so exhilarating and so fun, and to learn how to control it is so cool and so fun. The tarmac is a bit more, like, difficult because you have to slow everything down. You have to get the perfect line, or you're not going to carry speed through the corner. And you're going to be 10 tenths behind everybody, and that's a lot. But they're just 2 way different animals, and I love them both.
pavement, I think, requires a little bit more precision, and the dirt is, I think, a little bit more forgiving. I mean, I haven't done much track racing.
Well, that's what I've found. Yeah, I found that, you know, because Donna asked me earlier, she was like, wow, you're doing both rally and road race, that isn't quite the same. And I'm like, no, it's not. I have to have a different brain because I can't turn in early, or I can't, you know, do the same things with the car and get away with it. I can do it, but it doesn't work, you know, but then the muscle memory part is the hard part, you know, because my muscle memory is driving on loose surface, right? So then when something bad happens, what do? That's what I go to, and then I'm like, oh, well, I'm off-road, this is great, you know? But, you know, getting back to the question, you know, I'd say try them both. That, you know, if I have one thing I wish I'd done different is A, start racing younger, but also two, try everything. Because I've noticed that when I've tried other things like drag racing or go-karting or whatever, it's like, oh, well, that's a whole different world, instead of just being in that one lane.
My granddaughter Maddie, who's here, came up through the ranks at quarter midget racing, which is on pavement. And I think, Maddie, you found being on gravel was a little bit different, and she's been doing rallycross, which has helped her to throw the car out a little bit more and everything. So,
yeah, definitely different.
I think with the go ahead.
No, well, in rally terms, sometimes we obviously have gravel rallies, sometimes we have tarmac rallies, sometimes we have snow rallies. Not so much here in America, but when you're doing the World Championship, for example, you might go to a rally and it's tarmac, and then you've got a gravel rally. So from my position in my seat, our pace notes change because of the speed and the difference. You know, if you come through a stage, the first pass on a tarmac stage, it may be clear, no gravel on the road. And then everyone's dragged the gravel on the road. So the next time you come through a corner that was clear and, you know, had good grip, the second pass you've got gravel all over the surface. So from a co-driver's perspective, how that changes for us is, you know, the notes and what happens as far as that's concerned, because tarmac is so different to gravel racing. So even though I'm not in the driver's seat, it's something that I've experienced both from a co-driver's perspective and like someone mentioned in tarmac, I just feel like there's a lot less time to think about things, you know what I mean? You can make a mistake and you're just gone, you're off the road. So gravel definitely is a lot more forgiving, like someone said.
My nephew Henry does track racing at PIR. And he's done rallycross, and so the level of precision you have to have on the track. He and I talk a lot. He's my biggest fan, and I'm his. But the level of precision you have to have on the track is very different than what you have on rallycross or in stage rally.
100%.
And as a co-driver, your pacing has to be different.
Absolutely.
Different tarmac.
To
gravel.
You're good. It's just like Leo was saying, it's just, you have to have a lot more patience on tarmac, I feel like. Where in off-road racing, every single time you go through that corner, it's going to be different. So you have to adapt. And so being on dirt is just like she was saying too, it's a lot of fun because you never know what you're going to get and it's not predictable.
That's right.
And so it's kind of what you want to go for, you know. If you want something that's very predictable, you want to cut off a quarter of a second instead of a few seconds a corner, then go to asphalt. If not, then, you know, dirt's your thing, but it's never predictable, and that's why I personally love off-road. So.
True.
Exactly.
Good point.
That's awesome.
Good.
Another question from Katie. This is specifically for Sarah, Emma, and Reed. How involved with your car development and setup are you being on professional teams that have engineers work on your cars?
Okay, so for me, I'm actually quite a lot involved with the engineers and the techs. Travis will be the first to admit he doesn't know mechanical stuff, and he'll say that. It's not like he tries to hide it. So for me, I go to the team headquarters in Vermont. I learn everything about the car. If our car breaks down and we're out in the forest, it's on me. You know what I mean? I'm just being honest. So I need to know how to, you know, if they've got some spare parts in the car, I need to know how to change it and then direct Travis to help me change it. And so, tire choices, all that, I'm really involved in it. So I think it really depends on what, for my position, depends on what driver I'm working with, what mechanical knowledge they have and things like that. I've done nearly 200 races and it seems crazy, but Travis has done half of what I have. So he looks at me and says, you've actually got more experience than me and I value your opinion. So you say how you feel about it. So for me, I'm involved a lot, but a lot of time a co-driver wouldn't be It just depends on what driver you're working. When I work with my brother, he knows all that stuff, and I can just not worry about it. He can fix anything. He's helped Ken and Alex on the side of the road. Like he can. So when I'm with him, I don't have to worry about that. So for me, it depends on what driver I'm working with for sure.
For me, like being a part of Ganassi, we're in a spec series with the electric cars, so there's not very much we can do. There's very limited setup, and we're specific to tire and all this stuff. So with that, you know, obviously they take our input as drivers. Kyle, my teammate, he's very much into engineering his own chassis and all that stuff. So he has a lot more to say about it, but we can only still do so much. So in that, we're pretty limited, but our engineer, a lot of it's behind in the computer. When it comes to off-road racing, we're gone for 1,000 miles at a time.
It's on
so
you.
It's on me. It's the same thing as Ree, you know. I spend tons of time at the shop. I get to know the vehicle I'm going to get into, and you have to figure it out because you have no one else to figure it out for you.
Bush
So,
mechanics, I
yeah.
say.
Yeah,
You're out in the bush and you have to fix your own car.
Yeah.
So.
I've had a long-term, actually, navigator. Her name's Erica, and we kind of came up through the ranks together, and I can't even tell you how many times we've been stranded in Baja, like, just trying to figure it out. And then it's like, you're sitting there, you try everything, and you're like, let's just try switching this fuel pump and that one, and let's just see if it's a wiring thing. And we're like, oh my gosh, it worked. And then we're going again, you know? So it's just a figuring it out thing. But it definitely, the more you can be involved, I was telling someone earlier, when I raced motocross, my dad told me before I went suspension testing, go take apart that fork tonight. So when you go suspension testing tomorrow, you understand what the rebound is, what the compression is, what they're looking at, because you're looking at it from your riding side. So then you can translate it, and you don't, you know, come in there with no knowledge. You kind of have like, this is what I do know, I understand, let me learn more.
Absolutely. What about you, Emma?
Yeah, it's really interesting hearing the girls about how much they work on the cars. I could kind of like fix my car if I needed to, but you know, coming back to engineers, like it's such an important part of racing. You know, when I started in driving, I thought if I'm fast, I'll win, and that's as simple as it is. You know, the fastest driver's going to win. But you recognise that as you get to the pointy end of the field, the difference in the speed, you know, the split seconds, like it amazes me. You'll come to the end of a 20-kilometre stage and you know, there's 5 drivers split by, you know, 2 or 3 seconds, which to me still I just think is crazy. But it is in all those little bits of the car setup. And so you really need a good engineer that knows, you know, how to set up a car well. And I have a really good feel for a car, but it wasn't until I had a good engineer to work with that I could give that feedback to them, and they could help me to learn about what we needed to do with suspension clicks and ride heights and toe. And you know, I still find it amazing that, you know, changing the toe on your car, you know, like to, you know, just a couple of mils, how much it can change how the car feels. So I think, you know, earlier on in my career, that was probably something I really noticed. I don't know if it was a gender-specific thing or just not being mechanical, but having the right people around you that back you for your feeling. Because as a woman, you're quite quick to doubt yourself and be like, oh, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm driving it wrong. When really, if you can just share it with the person, well, the car's doing this, and leave it to them to sort it out for you, that's really important. So, you know, that's probably something that, you know, I've learned through doing it for so long, is just trying to back your feeling that you've got in the car, and then having the right people around you to give you the car that will allow you to drive fast.
Naomi?
So I know that getting sponsorships is hard in general, but do you think being a female helps or hinders, or how is it out there?
Tough. It is tough. And I don't think it's gender specific that it's tough, because everyone I talk to, you know, male, female, everybody's struggling. You know, I think it's, sometimes though it's tougher for a woman. You know, as a team owner, I struggle because, you know, there is a certain feeling out there that, oh, if I give money to you as a girl, you're gonna get married and have kids, and then what do I have? All that time is invested, and so there's this weird thing that happens with that. But, you know, I decided early on that if I'm gonna work with a company, it's gotta be a company I really believe in, and because people know, people can tell, you know, so I don't, you know, as a team owner, I don't have tons of sponsors, but I try to have the right sponsors. And I think that that's the difference, is, you know, figuring out, what do you really believe in, what do you really like, and have that passion, so that when you go to a company, because they really, I think the paradigm has shifted on what companies look for. Used to it was, a sticker on a car, or something on your driver's suit. But now they really want you to promote them and help sell their product or bring, awareness to their brand. And so as that brand ambassador, which gets thrown out, a lot, that is very much, I think what companies are looking for. So then how do you best bring value? Because, it's, there's a lot of people out there looking for sponsorship. And so what makes you different? So I think that bringing value part is really important.
I think if you find the right company that you also believe in, you can become a partner. So instead of a sponsor, it's like, I want to help you because you're helping me.
Yeah.
And if they see that, you're giving and you're listening and you're giving back, because the whole idea is once you get a partner sponsor, you shouldn't lose them. If you do everything you say, you should be able to hold on to them forever. And what I've seen a lot in motorsports, we've had motorsports teams, is some teams will promise the world and not deliver anything. So you need to say, these are the 5 things I'm going to do. Not only will you do them and do them well, but do a 6th thing. Because then they see that they're getting a return on their investment. So definitely know it's a partnership and not a sponsorship. And then you can hold on to your partner, and then another like-minded company might see that you have this person. It may not be a sticker on the car. It's all the things you're doing with the company. Then another company associated with your partner will then jump in. And then you start building your brand, and you become part of that company, because they need to get something back in return. It's really important that it's a two-way street. So that's why it's really important to know who you are as a brand and who you want on your car, because you will find yourself in situations where someone may want to give you money and be part of your team because you built yourself up to a very reputable team, and sometimes you have to say no because it doesn't represent your brand. So you have to really know who you are, what you're willing to do, and what you're willing, and then when you do get involved with the company, to make sure that you give something back to them as a partner.
Always over-deliver.
Always.
Always over-deliver.
Always.
So like I obviously co-drive for Subaru Motorsport USA, and you'll see, if you'll follow any of my social media, you'll see I do a lot of giveaways. I have never been asked to do those giveaways. It's not expected of me. I ask the team to send me hats, shirts, whatever. I get Travis to sign them, and Travis is like, oh, what are these going to? I tell him. And last year I gave away like 150 items, and I'm not paid to do that. It's not expected of me, but I do it for the fans.
And she's
So-
about to do it again today.
Wait, check under your seats.
There's a car! Sorry, I was on Oprah. So yeah, but over-deliver. Just do things that's not required of you and show them why they need to have you as part of that team. You know what I mean? Like I've just got a new sponsor that's come on recently, and now it's important that I over-deliver and show them why that they made that decision to bring me on board. So I always say everything these ladies said, and then go on above and beyond to prove that why you're the athlete they sponsored rather than someone else.
Karen touched on something really briefly, which was being a mother in motorsport. And I know we have some moms on the panel.
Moms and daughters.
Yeah, and daughters.
Lucy, we haven't heard from you.
I'm not one.
What's
I
it
just
like
want to
being
know
a
what that's
mother?
like.
In motorsport.
From which angle?
Well, I will say I have 3 of my kids and grandkids are currently racing, most of them rally. And it's when I worked service and they were out racing, I didn't know what was going on. And that was very nerve-wracking for me. Now that I've gotten into co-driving and I'm out there with them, I feel a little more comfortable, to tell you the truth, being out there. But, I know that they have the skills, and they're going to, even when they go off, they're going to be fine. Matt?
Matthew.
But, yeah, it can be nerve-wracking. I am nervous. As I said, as Kristen said, I have a grandson who races doing the Spec Ford racing. He's 16. And when he goes 120 down the back straight at PIR, I am very nervous. So And, yeah, and Maddie too. When I get a little nervous when she's out there. But I have the confidence that they have the skills to take care of themselves, and so.
Plus, you're not just mom to your own children.
Yeah.
Everybody calls you Rally Mom. Everybody calls you Mama. I mean, the people who've been in Rally for any length of time know that if they need something from Mom, it's Mom.
I think it also keeps you as a family. I know I don't race, but my husband races. And so I got very involved because it helped me be at the track the whole time, but distracted. So I just always felt safer when I was there. And then we got our daughter involved. And I think because all of us are there, all of us are involved, it builds you stronger as a family unit. If he was just racing and my daughter and I were at home doing our own thing, I think we would probably drift apart. But because we're all doing it together, and it's kind of nice when someone's doing something dangerous, if you're there, you kind of feel like you have some control by helping, like in timing and scoring or flagging, or like I used to be pit crew. I did the tire temperatures, and you know, I did so many different things. I kept timing, and I felt like because I was there, it was okay. And now our daughter's part of this program, and it just kind of becomes a way of life, and I think it helps.
I have a question for Lucy.
Yeah, Lucy.
So when you're out there, are you nervous for her, or do you want to beat her?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's not fair.
Because you are an old right now.
Well, you know, I'm old, and I haven't been able to do this
You
very
don't
much.
know old.
You're old compared to 15.
I'm older than 15.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Granted.
And I would say that I haven't had as much racing experience as my daughter.
True.
She's got a lot more racing experience and a lot more continuously racing experience than I ever have. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not scared for her.
Okay.
She's gonna set the record straight.
I do this series on YouTube called Unicorn vs. the World 2, and I race my dad's 1,400 horsepower Mustang.
Insane car.
And
Yes, it is.
we are thinking, I might do more, like I might drive his car more, and she's saying no. She says it's too scary for her, and she's nervous.
But that's the nature of mom.
Okay, but
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
That's just the nature of mom.
I'm not nervous with you racing rally. Okay. So I'm just gonna back up to, I agree with these moms down here, that, and if you're in the sport as well, you enjoy it more and you're not as nervous.
But to give you all an idea, Leah did her first rally at Oregon, and like her first stage time was somewhere in the 20s, I remember.
Yeah.
24.
Out of, I don't know, was there 75?
75.
75 cars. And am I wrong? Did she beat you?
Oh, yeah.
In a slower car. So this little one had a big grin on her face. How did you go? Well, I beat Mom. Like, a lot. And I'm like, oh, okay, a lot. So I look at the time and I'm showing Travis, and Travis is like, holy crap, she's good.
To be fair, when we were all racing, when Dad was racing the Nissan, Mark was racing Nissan, you know, we were all like all in the same class. Yeah, we did a lot of, well, I beat you.
Yeah.
Well, I beat you.
So this is gonna happen.
We have the Tabor Cup. Whoever does the best gets the
Yeah.
Tabor Cup.
So that's, yeah, no, we do that.
I mean, we're purposely in different classes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
now
good
we
idea.
are.
That's a good
Well,
idea.
the problem's gonna be if I beat you and you're in.
Yes.
Well,
And
this
I
is
bet you're
giving a little
nervous.
spice.
You're probably nervous when you want to do stuff in the uniform because you want to do like more stunt stuff, right? It's not like on a controlled course racing wise.
No, I would say it's just because the time I was nervous, the one time I was nervous when she was racing the unicorn. One is because it's on a non-prep surface, it's on a surface that is not perfectly smooth. So at times when she's shifting gears, the whole car moves. And she's a little human. Bigger than me, she's bigger than me. But
She's your baby.
she's my baby.
Your big baby.
Yeah. But you know, I'm happy if she beats me. I want her to beat me on
Yeah,
every
because you want her to be
stage.
successful.
I want her to win.
Yep.
So that, as a mother, is
Yeah.
kind of what you do.
Yeah.
Like I
Huge.
hope that I'm here to show her that you can do it and you can do whatever you want in life.
Excellent.
But If she beats me, I'm happy.
I want to be her.
One other thing that we wanted to bring to the conversation, because we're talking about, different roles within motorsport, even if it's, being a mother. I want to ask Chrissy about your role as a woman in motorsport, because we're trying to show that drivers and co-drivers are not the only roles that exist, right? You can volunteer, you can be a tech. So a young woman just walked in here today and we're trying to scoop her to be a detailer for us. It can be anything. Media, photographer, whatever.
Team manager.
Team manager. The list goes on and on and on. So talk to us about having a role external from being a driver, co-driver, and the impact that's had on you.
Yes, such a good question. I think about it on a daily basis, honestly. And when Josie asked me to be here, I was like, well, I'm not as cool as these chicks.
Oh,
yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're so a part of it. I'm like, okay, I think I've just figured out my why in this. And because I am so passionate about women, getting them behind the wheel of just anything, it means a lot to me to see them grow and go through different challenges and different experiences, and whether it's a ladies off-road day or their first, track experience with Donna at Performance or whatever it might be, like when I see the smiles and their growth from those experiences, like it fills my heart because I want something for them. I want them to achieve those goals. Back to the being the mom part, I wanted to say that I actually gave up my career in go-kart racing to get married and have kids.
It was a pause.
It was a pause.
Just a season.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm glad you see it that way. Yeah, when I found myself back into this career, I actually started at LeMay America's Car Museum several years ago, and so that's where I worked my way around and thought, you know what? Like, I'm in this. I love it. I love this for women, and kids are also a big thing, right? We're all driving the next generation of whether they are the next race car driver or rally team and enthusiast, collector, whatever it might be. So I'm honored and very excited to be a part of something that's helping people grow through their experiences in the automotive space. So whatever it might be, I want you to love it, and if it brings you joy, keep doing it, because that's what
I
it's
feel
all
like if
about.
you ever having self-doubt in motorsports, you need her in your circle.
Yeah.
Because she's like I feel like you're just like a really uplifting, sweet person.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think it's important not to be afraid. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yes, we do play in a very male-dominated sport in motorsports. It's just the way it is. In rally, we're actually lucky. There's a lot of co-drivers that are females. In not so many drivers. I think the next rally has 3 female drivers, 1, 2, 3, and maybe 17 female co-drivers. So, but don't be scared to go out and do it. I don't even think about that. There's how many ever men competing, and I'm this woman. Like, especially at the top where I am. One of my main competitors is my husband. But when I'm out there, do I think about that? No, I'm there I'm competing, I'm wanting to win, I'm wanting to beat them just as much as if it was a woman or a man. So I think that one thing that, people are afraid of is coming into this sport. In my Subaru team, I don't even know, at the rallies I'm the only female, but I never actually even think about that. So it's important that if you do want to get into rally or motorsport in general, that in any role, it could be working here at DirtFish or anything, like, don't be intimidated. If that's your love and passion, you need to chase it and you need to do it, and don't let anyone tell you can't, because, I mean, it's a great world that we get to participate in this awesome sport we love, and it could be someone like Leah Block, who has come up with her dad doing what he does and things like that. Could be someone like me who was country Victoria, where my dad was like rally driving, and so there's so many different scenarios. Your family may not have been involved, but don't let the intimidation of there being so many men in this sport put you off from going and chasing your dreams and your passion, because in all honesty, I don't ever feel like I'm held back in any way being a female, never. I always feel like I can do, and you as a young girl, you don't ever feel like there's challenge, like, just go out there, do it, be the best you can be, work your ass off, as I tell people, and if you are the best, you will still make it.
Yeah, and I think when you put that helmet on, car doesn't know that you're who you are.
No,
You
that's
put the
right.
helmet on, you get in the car and you go.
Yes.
I mean, you don't know if you're driving against a male or a
No.
female.
And it doesn't
Car
matter.
doesn't know,
No.
doesn't matter. And you get out and you do really well and you've just been badass.
Yeah.
I think doing something about it's super important, and I have a story. I was on, we just went to go test our UTV out at King of the Hammers one time, and it was just me and Erica. Had the truck, had a dirt bike in the back, so I wanted to ride dirt bikes that night in the pit, and then we had the toy hauler, pulled out the car, we're like working on it, we're going testing, we're coming back, we're working on it again, it's just me and her. And so then we get done, we load up, we go home, and then we see all these people on the side of the road protesting. And we're like, what are they protesting for? We've been out in the desert. And so we Google it, and it's women protesting for equal rights. And I believe in obviously standing up for that, but at the same time they were protesting because they don't get equal opportunity and this and that. And I'm like, me and her look at each other, and we both go, what are we doing right now? Go do something about it, you know? It's like, just do it. It's like, you can say you want to stand for this, that, and that, but until you do it, I think that's the only thing that's really going to change the world, and also people in our positions, is just go out there, don't think of yourself as a female, think of yourself as a racer, whatever you're trying to do, and be the best at that. And if it's men you're trying to be, who cares? They're a racer. Just try to be the best racer you possibly can.
And be that positive role model, you know what I mean? Show young girls. We have social media these days, like these two girls here have a great following on their Instagrams and stuff. You know, utilize that to show the young girls coming up that, hey, you can do this in life, you can do this in life, you can do this in life. Oh, and then you can go down the path of these two, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things that I just feel like we've got a lot of power to do things in society these days because of social media and things like that. And so there's no excuse for us not to, you know, show that we're strong women in motorsport and we can achieve what we want to achieve. Like, I like to look at Leah, and hopefully one day we'll see, I don't know what your goals are, but maybe in the World Rally Championship, where currently there isn't a top-level female rally driver. Emma and I dreamed of that, but yeah, just I guess the biggest thing I want people to take away from this summit is that never, you know, let yourself believe that you can't do something. Because if you chase your goals hard enough and your dreams, anything is possible. Doesn't matter where you live, where you come from. In all honesty, I grew up in a little country town in central Victoria of 500 people. You know what I mean? Like, I had nothing available to me in that little town. But if you're passionate about something, you can make it happen if you want it to. Doesn't matter what your sex is.
And you won't ever know unless you go do it.
Correct.
And to add,
First step is the hardest.
To add to that, I would say I didn't start co-driving until I was in my 50s.
Yep.
So don't let your age hold you back.
At all.
If you want to do it, go for it. Don't think. I will tell you, I'm going to be 75 in August, and I feel like I still have something to contribute. And so I just went for it. It's like, okay, I'll get in the car with you. So don't be afraid to do that as a mature person. If you want to do it, go do it.
Yeah, do it.
I have a quote to add to that before if we end on that discussion, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I look at it often. It's saved in my phone. But it's, don't worry about failures. Worry about the chances you'll miss if you don't even try.
Well, the best and worst part about this is that we could talk about it forever.
Yeah.
So
because we're women.
It's just what we do.
No, it's because we're passionate about
We're passionate.
Yes.
Supposed to be like, what?
But the brilliant news is that if you guys are able to stick around, all of these women are sticking around. The only one that we're going to lose,
It's Emma.
I'm looking at the wrong one, is Emma.
Thanks,
So,
Emma.
Emma, do you want to pop on and say any last words? Closing words, not last words.
So sorry. I found it really inspiring today listening to all of the amazing panelists up there. Just wish I could have been with you in person, but yeah, it was so cool hearing all of the stories and really fantastic words from Rhiannon and Sarah there at the end about chasing your dream and you know, the world's your oyster, just dream big and go for it.
Thanks for joining us, Emma.
Thanks, Emma.
But yeah, hopefully everyone can stick around. We'll just be out and about. All of these amazing women, thank you so much for being here. there's that quote, I can't remember it now, but something about when there's power in one of us, there's power in all of us. So,
Exactly.
so I'm so grateful for everyone here at DirtFish and everyone locally who's made this possible, for all of you for being here, for our wonderful panelists. Yeah, I'm really proud to be a part of this community. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
guys.
We're proud of you. Thank you for
Thank
having us.
So yeah, props to Josie for bringing us all together to be this voice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.